In today's video, I'll be talking about the current state of stimulus as well as what's going on with the negotiations. Hello, Nancy? Steve, Nancy? Hello, where are you? Hey, have you seen Nancy or Steve lately? Where'd they go? But I'll be talking about that in this video. Seriously, what's going on with stimulus, the talks, the negotiations, as well as what's going on with those stimulus checks that everybody desperately needs. But hey everybody, my name is Matt. Welcome back to another video. Today is Tuesday, October 13th. Let's talk about this. But as always, really quickly, my videos pertain to everybody, including Social Security recipients, retirement, disability and survivors, SSI, supplemental security income, VA, RRB, low income, and no income. But hey, if you're new here or you're not subscribed, welcome to the channel. I really appreciate it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks so much. Let's get right into this. So yeah, the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about Nancy and Steve almost on a daily basis of them going back and forth, possibly insulting each other, going back and forth with their negotiations, coming together a little bit closer on their negotiations. Well, as we know, as over the last couple days, we haven't heard anything from them. That's why I was kind of saying, where'd they go? They're MIA. What's going on? However, we could look at this situation and think, maybe in this situation, no news is potentially, good news? We don't know. Right now, we just haven't heard anything. So are they possibly coming together on a stimulus deal behind closed doors in private, and they're maybe just too proud to bring it to the public and say, hey, we actually worked together for like a minute in our lives and we came together on a deal because, you know what? We had some internal thinking over the weekend and we thought, hey, let's think about the American people for once in our lives. Let's think about the American people and let's come together on a deal. So maybe that's what they're actually doing, is they're using some of this other news out there to kind of be a little bit of a smoke screen cover for them to slip behind the smoke and come together on a negotiation. I mean, obviously, that's the optimistic approach. That's what we're hoping is happening. Otherwise, maybe they're just sitting on their couch eating potato chips and, watching reruns of some who knows what kind of show. I have no idea what's going on with them, but hopefully we'll get some kind of update from them soon. Also, I should have said this a minute ago. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. In some of my videos, there's a ton of stimulus news to talk about each and every day, constituting maybe 1, 2, or even 3 videos in a single day to talk about this. However, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Today, there's not much to talk about. I'll talk about and I'll discuss what is latest in the news as far as the stimulus, but there is just not much to talk about today. So I just want to be completely honest and transparent with you on this right from the very start. I wish I would have said that a minute ago, but honestly, I totally forgot about it. So I'm just throwing that out there. However, Nancy and Steve will continue their negotiations throughout this week. So we can anticipate they'll probably have, their classic 30-minute phone call each day. They'll talk for 30 minutes. Who knows how much of that time is actually discussing stimulus and rather than just breathing in the phone. Who knows? What's currently taking most of the news headlines right now is the Supreme Court Justice nominee. Of course, there's a lot of controversy about this, but just about every headline we see lately is all about this Supreme Court nomination, the justice, all this business. I'm not going to get into that in these videos mostly just because it doesn't have anything to do with stimulus other than maybe holding up stimulus negotiations, maybe just a tiny bit, but that's about all I'm going to say about it. So as we know, last week, Steve Mnuchin presented Nancy Pelosi with the latest offer, the 1.8 to 1.9. It sounds like it's more like a 1.9 trillion, but we're calling it a $1.8 trillion stimulus proposal. As we know, in that proposal, they moved their offer up another $50 billion on the state and local government funding side, up to $300 billion. So they are getting closer on that front. Of course, there's still a couple $100 billion apart. It's not that much. Seriously, it's really not that much. When we're talking about trillions of dollars here, they're really not that far apart. However, as we dig a little bit deeper and look into some of the quotes that Nancy Pelosi has said, some of the things that she has mentioned, it seems like, she's just kind of really picking this whole thing apart. Actually, one of her latest things that she said is, I find this to be actually pretty interesting. She said that in this current proposal, it is not going far enough for some of the most vulnerable groups of people. Well, what's actually interesting is they took the exact verbiage right out of the CARES Act from back in March and put it into this new proposal and presented it to Nancy. And now, as we remember back to the CARES Act in March, all Democrats supported that, including Nancy Pelosi. Now, yet, we give her the same verbiage in the latest proposal, and she rejects it, saying, nope, it's not going far enough. And I just feel like, what do you mean? You signed off on it just a few months ago. What's wrong with the current verbiage now? I mean, it's literally the same language. So I guess I don't really get that. Of course, things have changed. I get it. Things have changed in the last, 7 months? Yeah, I get it. Things have changed. So maybe we need to focus a little bit more on other, these vulnerable groups. I get that too. But I don't know. To me, it just seems like maybe Nancy is just purposely being really difficult right now and maybe just not wanting to negotiate, and she's just finding excuses. I do have to say, I've said this before in some of my videos, I would not want to negotiate against Nancy. She is incredibly tough. She's resilient. And I give her credit. Seriously, I give her credit. As much as I wish they would come together on a deal, and I really want them to, I do have to say Nancy is really intense when it comes to negotiating. She is not budging, and she has made that very clear, and she's holding her position. It's, I don't know. I feel like, in a sense, you have to admire her a little bit for that, for being so incredibly stubborn, should we say? I don't know. But she's tough. I have to say that. I will give her credit for being incredibly tough when it comes to negotiating. So not exactly what we want or need at this point. We want a deal. We want a deal like that very badly, at least for stimulus checks. That's what most people want right now, is those stimulus checks. One thing I want to talk about, I also think this is interesting. We've talked about all the different characters that have been coming out, reiterating the point that we need additional stimulus. What's actually interesting is Jamie Dimon. He's the CEO of JP Morgan, which is a huge, huge bank in New York. But anyway, he's the CEO. He was out this morning on their earnings call, and he even reiterated. Now, again, he has nothing to do with Congress or government, anything like that, but the point is, he's a very powerful person in his position. He even, on the earnings call this morning, he reiterated the fact that well-crafted stimulus would actually be very beneficial. So even he is saying, you guys need to figure it out. Well-crafted stimulus. What we know about the CARES Act back in March that was, put together, if we think back on that, what happened with the CARES Act back in March? Well, why was it put together and approved so quickly? It was approved in less than 2 weeks, 10 days or something. They put this whole thing together and approved it, pushed it through the House and Senate, and it got a signature by the president in very short amount of time, and then it was put into law, right? Well, what do we remember back in that time? Well, what was the main catalyst for them putting this thing together? It was the stock market absolutely collapsing at that time. Well, what's the stock market doing now? Basically, it just goes up every day. Seriously, it goes up. Why? Because it's manipulated heavily. So, do they really have a catalyst at this point to put together this next stimulus package? Well, if you look at it from the aspect of the stock market, not really. The reason I say that is because these stimulus packages, basically, they're just huge bailouts for the stock market. They need the Fed to come in, print trillions of dollars, pump it into the market, and reinflate the bubble that they started years and years ago. So that's really the whole point behind these stimulus packages. And then they basically, like I've said in my other videos, they basically throw the American people a bone called $1,200. They throw us a bone to keep us quiet while they quietly pump the market full of liquidity. That's literally the whole purpose behind these stimulus packages and what they do. But right now, the stock market is at all-time highs or very close to it. So the market's not collapsing. So their need for stimulus at this time, even though the American people need the stimulus, we need the stimulus checks, businesses need it, small businesses need it, everybody needs additional stimulus right now. They look at the stock market and think, we don't really need to pump it again because we're already doing it. They're doing it behind the scenes. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. It's really confusing what, the mentality behind why they do all this stuff. On a very interesting note, not very interesting, but on a kind of a fun note, today is the kickoff of Prime Day, so that's kind of fun. I hope you're checking out Amazon for some of the cool deals. I know I'll be doing that. Actually, Corey's probably already doing that on our behalf, so I'm interested to see what shows up at our door in the next couple of days. Who knows what she's going to find. Also, interesting today is Apple will be, well, it's suspected anyway, that Apple's going to be releasing the new iPhone 12. Again, possibly something interesting. I'm interested to watch that and see what happens. But again, pretty slow on the stimulus news today. But again, I wanted to come back every single day like I always do and just keep you updated with anything new that's going on. But I'll continue to watch everything. If Steve and Nancy pop their little heads out of the woods and have some good news for us, of course, I'll be back later today with that information. But my promise to you has been, I'll always be here for you each and every day. So here I am. I'm always here. Leave a comment or question below and subscribe if you're new here. Thanks, everybody, and I'll catch you later.